If you keep tying your worth to productivity, your nervous system will keep collapsing. Burnout isn't failure. It's your subconscious saying, this old pattern can't take you any further. You're not exhausted because you're weak. You're exhausted because you've been running this story and this pattern that says that your value depends on your productivity and your output. Burnout is your expansion point, and it's your body pulling you into a deeper truth that you don't have to earn your worth anymore, and it's time to break this pattern for good. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. This is Your Inner Landscape, and I am Jacqui, and today we are talking about burnout, and it's coming from a season of, the end of the year. We've been pushing so hard, and this is kind of where I've been at. I feel burnt out. I'm exhausted. I've been going. And even with all the transformational work that I do, sometimes you get so wrapped up in it and it's exhausting, right? So I wanted to come on here and just name that this is real. This is something I'm seeing with my clients, with my family, with my friends. It's everywhere, especially this time of year. People are burnt out and tired. And when we're in that season, it can hijack our creativity, and it twists, things into fear and insecurity and doubt, and we start questioning everything. And we want to just pause and feel this pain. And today in this episode, I'm going to share how beautiful it is if we can actually bring this pause in and say, wow, what a gift. This is a signal from my soul. I can feel the pain. And in this moment, if I pause and reflect, this is the moment where we can crack open. This is the place that we can notice our old ways of doing things. They can collapse. And this pause can be a seed of growth, right? So when we're burnt out, it's our body signaling this misalignment that there's some deeper work to do. And there's some release that could happen to release old subconscious stories that are potentially tying worth to your productivity. There's so many things that are taking place in the modern world that are feeding this burnout, or feeding the fact that we believe that your worth is tied to how much you do, or you can't rest or everything will fall apart, or you're only valuable when you're productive or visible. And these stories, they live in the nervous system. They live in the subconscious. And burnout, it's often the doorway into releasing them. But we have to pause and notice and reflect, how did I get here? And yes, we can build our vessel. We can build ourselves up with the minerals and the gut health and hormones and do all the functional labs and do all the work. But at the end of the day, if we don't do the deeper digging of why we're being driven to go, then this pattern is going to repeat itself. And I have done this myself. I go, and then I crash and burn. And I'm learning slowly that there's some deeper stuff underneath this. And it's so funny because sometimes we get so wrapped up in our own patterns that we can't see them. But when our body speaks loud enough, it gives us the opportunity to dive into, what is this pattern? What is this looping? What is this continuous journey that I'm on? And so for me, when I first learned that this is a pattern of mine, I went to a naturopath years ago in Carbondale, and she ran a Dutch test on me, and it showed me where my adrenals were, and it showed me, how my cortisol was doing and my hormones. And at the time I was really struggling with scanty periods and irregular cycles and a lot of gut health stuff and skin rashes. And when we got the results back, it was like, oh my God, your cortisol levels are flatlined. You are burnt out. You aren't producing your hormones. You are depleted. And anytime we're in that state, it messes up our menstrual cycles. It messes up our gut because we can't turn on rest and digest. And we can't, detoxify our body very well. So that's showing up for me years ago was irregular cycles, digestive issues, and skin issues. So this isn't just a new thing for me. And I'm honestly grateful for that, because it's also allowed me to dive into this work so deeply and brought me to where I am today. And I'm finally in a place where I'm like, okay, the pattern's repeating itself. I feel burnt out. What is going on? And it's always so funny sometimes when I sit with myself and I'm like, oh, this is what I work with my clients on. And sometimes you don't wake up to the fact that something is happening until you're ready to resolve it. And so I see this with my clients a lot. We do all the testing, they're doing all the things, they're propping themselves up with supplements, with, they're doing all the things, which is allowing them to get away with more. And this is what I've done, right? So I know how to eat really well. I know how to clean up the diet. I balance my blood sugar really well. I don't over-exercise. Or when I do over-exercise, I know that I need more nourishment and rest and minerals and food and all that stuff. So I have all this stuff to prop me up, and it's allowed me to continue forward and push through the burnout even further. And so a couple of days ago, I just couldn't get out of bed, and I just was honoring the fact that I was so tired. And I'm like, okay, this is a beautiful opportunity to pause and see what is going on at a subconscious level, because this pattern is repeating itself. So anytime there's a pattern repeating itself, it's really important to pause and say, okay, what a gift. What is this here to teach me? What is my body communicating to me in this moment? So when we pause, even just for a moment, you break this autopilot, you break the automatic cycle, and we stop feeding the old story, reinforcing the old identity, and you create space between sort of the trigger or the pattern and the reaction. So in that space, in that pause, you shift from being the victim into a conscious observer, right? We move from being reactive into rewiring our brain and repatterning ourselves. So when you pause, this isn't a passive thing. Pausing is actually an active form of energetic and conscious regrowth. So in these pauses that I've been having over the last little while, I've just been really noticing that it's like this guilt of not working, and noticing that I can't rest or everything will fall apart, or, really recognizing that the root of all of this is that my worth is tied to how much I do, right? So my worth is tied to my productivity. And this is a result of a bunch of different things. It's a result of my family dynamic. It's a result of the world that we live in. It's a result of a sum total of my own life experience. And as a collective, this is what, is valued. And so in this moment, I'm like, okay, I'm noticing that I feel only valuable when I'm productive or visible. And we can just pause. And then in that moment, it's like, okay, this is a beautiful time to go into the subconscious or get out your journal and write down everything that's happening, because then we can start to interrupt this pattern and create a new neural network. And one thing I want to pop in here before we move on is, so these patterns and this programming comes from, specifically ages 0 to 7. And then we build on that going, into our teens, and then everything from that builds and builds and builds and builds. But the root of this comes from ages 0 to 7. And so it's not always helpful for us to be operating from what we understood when we were a child. And the thing is, there's no blame on our parents. There's no blame on our caregivers. It's just what we made something mean from a situation. So just by us observing, both my parents are super hard workers, and part of me loves that. And that's probably why it's been hard for me to work on this specific thing, because I do value productivity and I do value working hard. But by me interrupting this pattern, it doesn't mean that I'm going to, be lazy and not do anything. It's just that I'm going to allow myself to rest and allow myself to nourish myself from a level of getting back to square one, so that I can be creative and be active and be, at this foundational level of health that isn't at burnout, where everything is exhausting and nothing happens and you feel dull and flat. And so this felt really appropriate to bring on the podcast today before a new year, because I am like, okay, this is a pattern that I'm ready to interrupt, because I can't keep moving forward with a business, with my life, with all the fun things I want to do, if I don't allow myself to rest and nourish myself. So if you are feeling lost or confused or just dull, or maybe you're feeling fat or unhealthy and you just don't feel like you have the energy to get up and do the thing, it might be important for you to pause and rest and check out what's going on with your internal programming around your worth and your productivity. Do you have some level of believing that your worth or your value is tied to how much you do, how productive you are? Because if it is, we want to go in and rewire this and allow you to believe that it is safe to rest and it is safe to take time for yourself to nourish yourself and heal. And so we work with this all the time in my clinic, where if someone comes to me and they're feeling really exhausted and burnt out, we just go to the basic bare minimum. What do you need to do to just get by for now? Like, just make sure you're drinking water, make sure you're putting a little salt in there, maybe do a little bit, adrenal cocktail or electrolytes, have a good sleep schedule, sleep as long as you need, take your naps. Make sure you're eating some food, get yourself an Instapot so things are really easy. This is the foundational care that builds our vessel, right? We need to just at least get some sunlight. All you have to do is open your window, go outside, just put your feet on the ground, breathe in some fresh air. And these are the keys. This is like the key that just unblocks this burnout, this abundance to health and vibrancy. And I've walked myself through this numerous times where I've gotten burnt out and then I come back to life. And so I've done the physical body stuff, but now it's like, okay, I'm ready to actually cut this cord and this tie of my worth and productivity. Because if I don't do that, and if I don't interrupt this pattern, it's going to potentially keep repeating itself, or it's going to just take longer. And what I've found is when I go into the subconscious and I finally understand the patterning, it's way easier to change your life and do things differently. So next, I'd like to just give you a little example and a little guided journey into your subconscious. And we're not going to do a whole subconscious reprogramming right now, right this second, because you're probably driving or you're doing the dishes. And so I want to just give you something for, food for thought. So if you have the capacity to close your eyes, please close your eyes. If you don't, just keep doing what you're doing. Just allow this stuff to settle into your brain and allow it to just go in for, allow it to just settle and see what comes up. So if I were to say, go, take a slow morning or just take the day off. Maybe it's time for you to just ground and give yourself space to breathe and rest. And notice what comes up after that. Like, oh no, I can't do that. I got to go to work. There's stuff to do. No, people will think I'm lazy. Whatever it is that's coming up for you, most of us have some tie between this worth and productivity. And the truth is, this stuff is just basic foundational self-care. And it's so corrupt because our society has made us believe that we have to work until we are burnt to a crisp. So let's just take a moment right now, wherever you are, and again, close your eyes if you can, and just place your feet on the ground and take a deep breath into your belly and just let it out and start to just imagine any old stories or patterns about worth or the pressure to do something or be someone, stories about productivity, stories about working. And just bring any of those up to the surface. Maybe there's an event that took place, or maybe it's a family dynamic. Whatever comes up when we talk about worth or pressure or productivity, just bring them up and gently clear them from your system. You can use a vacuum. You can just allow them to settle into the earth. You can just allow the wind to blow them away. And imagine your body softening and your nervous system settling. And imagine in this stillness, your energy recalibrating. And this moment right here is where the rewiring begins. And when we pause and reflect, you can remember that you are not behind, you are not broken, and you are not failing anything or anyone. You are just in a moment of recalibration. And even just listening to my voice today, you are learning to pause and observe and step back and notice the patterns. You are learning to live from alignment, not urgency. And when we pause and we observe and we step back, this is when we can really get true with what is not working for us and what direction we want to head. But if we keep pushing through harder and harder and harder, we're never giving ourselves the ability to pause and reflect and see what the body's saying. What is your authenticity craving? What do you want to do? And just know that when you pause and reflect and you understand what you're making this mean, right? You're not lazy. You're tired. Why are you tired? What patterns are driving this loop? And if you're anything like me, you are ready to interrupt this pattern. And just know that this process is not linear and it's not meant to be. Growth is cyclical and it's rhythmic, and healing is up and down and all around. And self-regulation is built moment by moment. And every time you pause, you actually take a step in interrupting any previous programming. And you're actually pausing, and that's an active step towards your next level, your next evolution. So the next time you feel yourself pushing through and going and wanting to push through this exhaustion and this burnout, just pause and say, what a gift. What can I do here? What is my soul asking for? So I'm going to go away from this and I'm going to go do a bunch of digging and journaling and subconscious reprogramming, and I'll report back to tell you what's shifted. So thank you so much for being here with me. If this resonated, please share it with someone who needs the reminder that burnout isn't an ending. It's actually an opening if we take the time to pause and reflect and rewire this belief that your worth is tied to your productivity. You are valuable just because you are you. And if you want a space each month to reset your system and dive into this type of process and allow yourself to reprogram these patterns and ground your energy and work with your subconscious, you're always welcome inside Your Inner Reset, which is our monthly gatherings where we come together on Zoom and I just guide you into your subconscious and we just pause and reflect and take a moment to reset our inner world. So thank you so much for showing up today. Thank you for walking this journey with me, and I will be back in a couple weeks' time.